started. It is noon, and today's topic is how to read. Oh goodness gracious! How to read a vintage set pattern. How to read it and translate it onto your doll head. This head has been prepped by being washed and set. The setting spray is the Biolage Thermal Active Setting Spray, and that is all that's been put in this doll's hair. And it has been parted out. So we have the crown section, two sides, and the back. And that's just to keep your work area clean. So I'm going to show you really quick this book, and we'll see if it's got too much reflection. Are we good? Mm-hmm. Sweet! I'm getting help this time. Is from 1955. It's called The Mystery of 1950s Hairstyling. And I've picked a couple patterns in here to work from. So this is going to be what the sides are going to look like, leading into the back where it is reversed upward facing curls. And then I'm going to be utilizing this pattern for the crown. And I believe I'm actually going to start with the crown and then work down. So we're going to look at this just for a second and see that these curls in the back row are coming reverse and backwards. Then the next row will be forward curls towards the face, which is why they would say forward, and then another round of reverse curls coming up and back. And if you can see here on the pattern that you have these arrows telling you where to start your curl pattern. And in this case, they're actually asking us through the description here to start with the front ones and work back. So we'll start in the front, and I'm going to go ahead and set my book down and start with the front by combing it straight back as it asks you to, and then taking a section here on a bit of a diagonal and parting that out. And this will make over here, we'll make these two curls. So we're actually going to start on the side nearest to the part, and I'm going to go ahead and comb the hair. You can see because I want the curl to be coming back away from the face, we're going to comb back and away from the face. And then what we're going to do is gather it up into a basic point, wrap it using your first finger, wrap the hair around the finger until we get to the end, and then let the hair telescope in on itself, and then slide it down and turn it into itself until it lays where you want it. And then I'm going to take a nice hairpin and start with tucking in those ends. That's what I'm going to do, is to slide it in on a diagonal, take a second pin, slide it in on a diagonal, and see if that's going to be enough to hold it. If it doesn't look like that's going to be enough to hold it, you may want a third pin to come into the back for support. Then we're going to take this second piece that we parted out, doing the same thing, which is to pull it back at that angle. Taking, in my case, I'm using the first finger of my right hand to come around and then hold it as tight as you can, as This hair has been cut into a basic long midi haircut, so she's a little tapered, and that's where guidance is the trick. So we're basically guiding the curls where we want them to go. So same thing, use hairpin at an angle and a second pin at the opposite. So basically I want them to cross and make an X. And this one, I think I am going to give a third pin just for a little support in the back, so it'll stay down. So,
oh my gosh,
now,
that's so good. I can totally see everything really good.
Yay! So the next thing is going to be this row here. And because these are going to be forward curls, we're going to actually start all the way at the front.
Oops.
Yep, that was exciting. And be able to, so I'm going to part out. And because I want these curls to basically be the front of the hairstyle, I'm actually going to come all the way into the corner and then follow that same diagonal pattern that I had used for the first side here. And the hair is kind of drying out, so I'm going to make sure that it stays really, really wet. So now in this case, we're going to have, starting from the front, take one, and because these are coming forward, we're actually going to comb them this way. So they're actually coming in at a forward angle, and I'm going to use my left first finger in this case because of the direction I want the curl to go. So we're going to hold it together, telescope down, sliding it carefully off your finger, guide the curl, which is a big part of making these, and set it where you want it. Grab a pin. In this case, we're going to slide it somewhat across the hairline as the first pin so that it will actually stay. Second pin comes in here to hold it together. And this one looks like it might give me some trouble, so I am going to give it a third pin. There's nothing wrong with using a little extra support for the shaping of your pin. It's better to have extra than to not and have the curl fall apart before it gets dry. So we're going to do the same thing, which is to aim forward towards the face using my left first finger. And I didn't even put my comb down, like a good girl. Play that in beauty school. Don't put your comb down. Waste too much time. And just slide down, gather on the end of my finger, and then turn and tuck. And we're going to do the same thing with the pins, which is to lay one in and then cross with a second and see how we feel. So I'm going to go that way. See if that's going to be enough support or if we need a third. And that one feels like it's going to be fine on its own. So I'll take this last into two subsections. Same idea, which is to come in here. And every time you come in and make a curl, you really want to take the time to make these as smooth as possible. So ribboning the hair. I'll go once more around my left finger. This hair's starting to get a little longer because it is nearing the crown. I'm going to hold it and telescope it down my finger, letting it build on itself. Grab And it's going to give me trouble, I can tell. It's being fussy. That's okay. Just tell it to stay. So sometimes it's just using the pins that will get things under control. So we'll use one, and we'll use a second one. Seems like it might be doing all right.
That looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a couple people pop on and
Okay.
off. No questions yet.
Okay. If there are any questions, please put them down in that chat box, because that would be awesome. I would love to, if there's anything that's of direct interest.
And also your brand new camera person is trying.
Yep. This is our first run of it.
There we go.
There we
I just
go.
want to make sure I stay out of your way.
Oh, no, you're fine. I'm used to working around anything. So we're doing the same thing, which is to take it around and turn it, place the curl. So, and the reason that you start, in the set patterns, when they tell you what end to start from, it's because you're going to be laying curls one over the top of another. So that's the real reason. It has little to do with, oh, it's just aesthetically pleasing. It actually has to do with these curls have to lay on each other. And so now we're going to come into this last section, which is going to be once more reverse curls away from the face. I'm going to just pull this back. And as you can see on this, I'm going to bring it over. So this is this section here, and they want me to start the reverse curl at the back so that the next ones can lay on top of it. So that's how that goes. And we're going to do what we did up here, which is to bring it back. And then I'm going to be using my right finger this time because of where I want the direction of the curl to go. And it's a lot easier to switch hands depending on what direction you want the curl to go. So take it, and then we're just going to twist and place. And the reason that you want to ribbon the hair, this is an important side note, is you don't want to find crimps, flat spots, weirdness that takes away from the smoothness of the curl. So that's one of the main reasons why you need to make sure each time that you are getting the hair as smooth as you possibly can for the sake of making those curls as nice as possible. Use my right index finger, using my thumb here as support while I go around. It's trying to be finicky, but that's okay. And then doing that same move where we're telescoping the curl all the way into itself. Pull your finger out, take and lay the curl right where you want it so that you end up having,
oh my gosh, that looks really good,
the nicest, smoothest curl you can manage. These are mostly, especially in the sake of this particular top set, are geared towards making a wave pattern through here with just a little bit of curl on the ends. I also believe that that wave pattern is, because it's from the 50s and this haircut on this doll is from the 40s, or based loosely on the 40s, the hair is actually a tiny bit too long for that particular look that they are showing in the book. So this will actually come out differently than what is shown in the illustration, but it gives you a good sense of how to direct curl where you want it to be, where you want the pattern to be. If instead of making a curly top like a poodle style fringe or crown, is to what you need to do to make the waves. And because this is giving me just a little bit of trouble, I am going to slide a third pin right there just to hold those ends down. And then I've got this last section, and it's same thing, smoothing it out as much as you possibly can. So wrapping around the first finger, using your thumb as a brace, coming all the way to the tip, wrapping it as tight as you can get it, telescope to the ends. This front section is going to give me a unique challenge, but this shows what you might have to do should the hair decide it doesn't want to play by your rules. So we'll tuck it in, and I'm just going to physically grab the ends of the hair and put it where I want it. And put a pin in and see if it's going to behave itself or not. These are the moments where you can get incredibly frustrated, especially using hairpins versus clips, just due to the fact that the hair doesn't always behave in the manner you'd want it to. So using another pin just to hold the ends. They only need to be held enough to get that basic idea of the curl. So here is, for comparison, the set pattern. 1, 2. I ended up doing 4, but 1, 2, 4. And then this is 1, 2, 3, 4, coming backwards. So we have reverse, meaning away from the face, forward, toward the face, and then reverse away from the face. And then we're going to now turn and work on the side. So I'm going to just turn my page back, and since it's working on, since we'll be, turn this off a little bit. Since this pattern right now is showing it on the left-hand side of the face, I'm going to go ahead and work on the left-hand side. And so we're going to start in the front with these reverse curls. So they're going to come up. So what we're going to do is actually start at the top. Start your reverse curl at the top. And you can tell which direction they're going. These ones don't have arrows. Some patterns do, but you can see the way. And they also give you the start reverse curls, start forward curls, meaning that they're coming towards the face. In the case of this particular publication, the anything that is going away from the face is reverse, anything going towards the face is forward. And that's how they distinguish. So I'm going to take this side down. I'm probably going to spray it real good with some water so that it stays nice and oops. Things happen.
Yes,
We're good. So even though that looked like, I'm going to just pull this back just for a second. So this is only going to be 2 rows of curls, because if you look here, here's the ear, here's the ear. So I'm not actually making any more than 2 rows. So these are going to be rather large sized sections. So these curls are going to actually be a bit bigger. The idea will be to make this deep wave leading back to, in this case, this particular model has shorter hair, so it's meant to be a little bit of a kick in the back. My doll head has much longer hair than that. So it's only going to be 2 rows of curls. And I'm hoping that, is our lighting good? Can we see?
I mean, maybe we could switch to the other side. Maybe you can just,
I mean, I can turn so we can face a little bit my best.
Yeah, that might be a little bit better. Or I could sit over here, actually.
Well, I'm just trying to make sure that people can actually see what the heck I'm doing.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Are we good? Okay, here we go. So we're going to start with that out of the way. We've subsectioned, and these are going to be reverse curls up and away from the face. So, stupid doll stand. Better. I hope that's still okay. Are we still kind of okay?
I think so. Yeah.
All right. So in this case, because they're coming up and away from the face, we're going to come up and away. And because of what I want, I'm still going to be using my right hand and coming around my finger, making this nice ribbon as far down as I can. Hold it. Telescope in. Try and tuck those ends. And the ones that don't tuck, we'll just fight them. And because this is coming up and away, it was a good idea to start on the top. Because I'm going to actually come right over the top of that one and place this curl. Can anybody tell me if that was too loud? We were right by my face. Anybody watching?
Nobody's on yet.
Fantastic. That's perfect. That's okay. I will archive this so that anybody wants to catch up later.
Right. And since that's the case, I'm going to go ahead and switch this light to the other side.
Oh, sure.
There we go. That'll help.
Take the next one, which is about, in this case, it's about 1 inch square. And we're going to
Yeah, there we go.
take it up and back because that's the direction we want it to go.
I know where I'm going.
Okay, we're good.
And
And then we'll wrap it
there we go.
around and do like we've done, which is to fight those ends because of the layering done to this particular.
Is this where like gel or hairspray would come in?
In some cases, yeah, like using, especially like a gel or like a really thick setting spray
Oh yeah.
would be a good option. And then, okay, no, we're good. I just had to reach my pins. And then I'm going to stick an extra one in that other one. So then we're going to stick it right down there. Stick it in an X to make it stay.
Yes.
And then I'm going to actually be helping out this little guy by giving him a 3rd pin. Help
Yeah, this is perfect.
this one with a 3rd pin just to make those ends stay where you want them to the best of your ability. And that'll help hold that together. And then, I didn't leave tons of room up here. We're only going to get 3 large size curls, and that's okay. So we're going to do the same thing, which is to wrap around first finger, grab and hold, force things to go where you want them to go. Learn that hair doesn't always pay attention to what your plans are. It's all good. So we'll tuck it up. Pin and pin and give that end a little encouragement to stay tucked in. All right, and now for our second section here, I'm going to grab a hook again. So this one is going to be forward curls, so they're actually going to curl around towards the face, and in this case we're starting just above the ear so that they can lay one over the next. So for this, to start at the ear, I'm going to use a bigger hairpin and just pin that out of the way. And because these are technically going to be going, it's a very interesting way to do it, but they're technically going forward, so I'm going to be taking and wrapping around my finger, telescoping down. To get this hair a little bit more wet. I can tell it's getting sticky, but not in a good way. I got it. So many hairpins. So same thing, just putting in the X pattern of the pin and seeing how it's holding.
Looks really nice.
Just hold that out of the way and hope and pray. Wrapping around the finger, holding it together, and sliding down and turning it so that it is coming forward. Or crossing the pins so they hold, and if it doesn't seem like they're going to stay, like this one looks like it's going to give me a little trouble, I'm going to actually tuck. Let me do that for both of these. It's just to lay down the curl a little bit. And I have enough for two. I'm going to spray it down now. It's getting too dry and getting finicky. Too dry and finicky. And put that out of the way. And this. Around. And around. And around. This part gets a little repetitive, but if you can get into a little bit of a flow state with it where you're just doing the same thing, eventually the muscle memory picks up and you don't really have to think about what it is that you're doing. You can just sit and just do it. Don't think about it. Grab a pin or two, see what happens. Worst that can possibly happen, start over.
Get it wet again.
Get it wet again. Try again. This is my skill at wrapping pin curls is based on years of practice. But I feel like anybody can do it, and it's a good skill set to have, even if you never use it in real life, because it will also teach you how to mold hair, and you can use these same set patterns by using a curling iron, setting the hair, and then clipping with, say, a metal clip until they get cool, and you can get the same kind of idea. Don't mind me, I'm just being picky. This may need an extra. So then, as we're coming along, that'll be better. It's not going anywhere now. I've stuck it in there tight. Now using hairpins like I'm using for this doll may not work for extra short hair. Some people will use bobby pins, some people will use single or double prong clips. So if you were to set a curl, I'm just gonna goof off here for a second. I pretend like I'm setting a curl, and that's just awful, but it's okay. It's just for demonstration purposes. You've set your curl, the hair is too short to get to stay with hairpins. You just slide a put right in. And then by sliding it in, it helps prevent crimps and creases. I'm going to spray this section, and now we're going to translate from the left side to the right side. It's going to be the same activity, just now on the right hand side. So this is where you have to, in some cases, think a little harder. Think a little tiny bit harder. So once more, we're going to start at the top, just like we did on the other side, and we're going to be directing the curls back and away from the face. And in some cases, kind of back, away, and up. So I'm also watching right here that I don't come in and destroy that curl. I'm making sure that I don't destroy it. So now I'm using my left finger as my base finger. And use whatever extra fingers you need to make this happen. And this is going to give me just as much trouble as the other side, and that's okay. It's just how the hair is cut. A very specific haircut that wasn't meant for this kind of hairstyle. But we'll make it work. That's how I do. I'll just come in and more than likely, like the other side, I'm going to be dealing with little guys that are sticking up and out. Normally I wouldn't hold my hands like this, but it's all good.
When you got a camera in your face.
Yep. Camera in my everything, and a camera in my everything.
It's your Lolo Razzi.
I'm so famous. People just can't stop watching what I'm doing. I mean, I hope that at some point this at least is beneficial to somebody to learn how to set pin curls. So I'm going to actually reposition myself so that it's a little bit easier. Coming over, doing the same thing really, just using my finger and my thumb as a stabilizer. Hold it. Doesn't want to stay, but that's all right. We'll just stuff it in. That's how I do. I mean, I really do. Just take and tuck and roll it where you want it to live, which is kind of layered right over the top of that first one. And we'll stick the pin in here and stick the pin in here. And I think this one I'm going to just give a little stability with this third pin, just to keep it so it stays tight. And then our last curl, just like the other side, we've only got 3. Come up and bring it around. And by gathering all the hair into a point, it does help somewhat. I mean, depending on how layered the hair is. And really, truly, most all hair of the era, the 40s and the 50s, had some sort of layering and tapering in it. There was a lot of razor cutting and making the hair more pliable, but also making it to where it would actually, even though it was layered, it would blend together really well, given that you had tapered ends. So you never had a blunt looking end. And a little for support. Okay, now we're going to come to this last subsection before we get to the back. Do we have any idea what time it is? How long have I been doing it?
I will tell you. Oh, half an hour.
Alright, not too bad.
We're actually doing
going
really good.
Quick. Alright, and we're going to do the same thing we did on the other side, which is to start at the bottom. I'm going to move this out of the way and use, so I'm going to twist it, use a little pin, hold it out of the way. Doesn't need to do anything too magical, just hold it out of the way. Alright, and then we're going to take, in this case, I'm going to be bringing it. This is so weird that they call these ones forward curls. That's what they want. That's what I'm doing.
What you do.
That's what I do. Well, and we're trying to show how to follow a pattern rather than, another time I'll show you how I just make it up on my own. If I don't have any grand end goal in mind, how to just make stuff. Okay, and that might give me a little fuss, so for stability's sake, I'll just take a third pin and tuck it right in there. Then we're going to take, let's use my finger that time. Don't have to, just it's what I had convenient. And we're going to do the same thing, ribboning up, and then wrapping it around my finger, taking it, and it forward, right on top of its little friend here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Don't mind me.
Yep.
Don't mind me. Just gotta move my stuff. Normally, I would also not be dragging everything around everywhere. Doll heads are very forgiving. I don't care. And once more for stability, taking that third pin. And now I'm going to split this into 2 sections. Running like mad up there. I'll fix it. That's where extra pins come in handy. The nice thing about hairpins is that they generally don't dent the hair. I mean, unless you have a really thick section. In that case, you might want to use a bigger pin. So, same idea. Wrap it around. Hold it. Tell it to behave itself. Bring it forward. This is definitely something that back in the day you would not get to see how somebody actually set the hair. Every stylist out there had their own method of working, and even after film was invented, most wouldn't show you the process. They might show you the hair already set, and they will definitely show you the end result, but they wouldn't show you how they held their hands or anything to get there. It's pretty amazing. Thank you, social media, for giving us this opportunity to share interesting pieces of eventually history. I mean, this is showing, as far as I've been able to sort out, how wet sets were done. Am I perfect? Nope. Do I really know for sure this is how people did it? Nope. But it feels right. It feels sufficient enough to get the job done. This is going to take a few extra pins because I need things to sit and stay. Let's see if I can get this. I'm going to tuck in. Let's see. Then I had a runaway over here, so I'm going to actually give You're going to behave yourself because I said probably won't. At least I can try. Should I go ahead and redo this one?
Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. I'm trying to fight hair.
I think I'm getting a good shot.
Trying to fight hair that doesn't really want to lay down where I want it to. All right. And then for the back, we're still going to a degree, be following what is prescribed here, which is starting with just a bunch of reverse curls. So everything's going to come away from the face. I'm actually going to split this right down the middle, and I'm going to make them slightly larger curls for the sake of this hair is much longer than what is illustrated here. It's much longer. So it's going to be bigger curls than perhaps what they truly recommended. I'm going to tip the head a little bit so it doesn't fall off. Part it right down the middle. Sometimes you might determine that you want to take from the parting, but in this case, I think I am just going to take it right down the middle to be able to just set each side. And I'm going to respray it with water because it's going to fall apart if I don't. And I think I'm just going to do 2 rows on each side. So taking that, splitting it in half, and taking the hair this way. And remembering that it's reversed, so it's going to be coming up and away from the face. So, but it's the same thing no matter how much hair you have, how long the hair is. You just, in this case, especially in the back, because the hair is a little longer, I feel I'm going to have an easier time getting it where I want it. So, and then once I get it all set, I won't torture anybody with having to physically watch the dryer go for an hour.
Oh, I think probably people would.
I think people just give up. Either that or you tell them it's a, white noise.
Yeah.
It's a white noise experience, and
it's therapeutic.
It's therapeutic. This is therapeutic. I love it. And so, like, in reading the set pattern, I am following the idea of it. I may not be following it to the letter because of the difference between the doll head and the haircut here versus what the haircut I'm presuming is in that illustration, given that it was the 1950s and shorter hair. Think Elizabeth Taylor was certainly more popular than, say, the more length and polished type victory rolls of the 40s. So it was more about having, a little direction, a little control, but then just having your curls without having to put a ton of effort into it. I have a doll head over there. Can I have you just the one on the end next to the one that's got the shorter hair? That is the kind of style that you would be seeing in the 1950s. That was, I just did it with a roller set, but you're going to see a lot more like shorter styles, looser, fluffier curls, a little less, I don't want to say a little less precision, but definitely a little bit more in the neighborhood of a free kind of style versus something that has to stay perfectly done up where you might not feel comfortable going to bed. So in the 50s, it got a little more freedom in the styling, a little bit more interest in shorter, easier to maintain haircuts. Where in the 40s, which is, this doll is based roughly upon a 1940s aesthetic, has a little bit more of that length to be able to have a page boy style or having rolls or strong waves. So this is a slightly different hairstyle, and that's where part of interpreting the pattern and not just going full on into it has to be exactly like this, because the likelihood that if you're doing this for a person, that you've cut someone's hair to suit a particular set style is very unlikely. This day and age, most people don't want to be told how they wear their hair. Back a number of years, you can get to a point where people were, we're going to go back to the top here while I'm thinking of it, to start the next row of these reverse curls. What would happen is, in a lot of cases, people have been bringing pictures to their stylist forever, ever since there was a picture to be brought. But in some cases, there were stylists who would just tell you how you would be wearing your hair. And not only how you would be wearing it, but the kind of cut you were going to have, how you had to style it, and whether or not it was going to be, it was always meant to be flattering. So they would do a lot more work in mitigating awkward face shapes, trying to get everybody to look as oval in the face as possible by using the hairstyle to balance it out. And so if you came in to the shop, you had a really round face and not oval, they would just tell you what kind of hairstyle you were going to have. And it would generally be aesthetically pleasing, but you didn't get a say in it. They would just tell you, nope, this is the hairstyle you're going to have because this is the kind of face you have. You're expert. You know, so nowadays the idea of having somebody tell you, oh no, this is the kind of hair you're going to have, without really asking, or because you could, you know, like I said, people were bringing in pictures. There was certainly magazine articles, the latest in trends, the, you know, the different styles, like this doll head is based off a long version of a midi cut from the 1940s. Midi just meaning middle. It was just kind of a middle length. This is a long version of it. But the idea was that no matter what, even with the magazines, even with the publications, your stylist knows best. And in some cases, in a more dictatorial fashion than people be comfortable with today.
I guess it depends on who you're looking for. If you want somebody to just do what you want,
yeah, it wouldn't
carry out a thing.
You know, you would definitely, you know. Now, if you were somebody who was like, I want to look as good as possible, whatever hairstyle that takes, and all, you know, and you were willing, say, to have those weekly visits for your set. So that's another thing that doesn't really happen much anymore is, unless you're getting your hair colored, or for the few that are still getting perms, you aren't coming into the salon that frequently to, you know, and for that long a period of time. If you were getting your hair set, you're going to be in the salon for a couple hours at least. You know, and if you threw in a haircut on top of that to have it ready to go, and you would come in, if you could afford it, you would be in the salon once a week. You would have your beauty day, your salon day, where you would come in. This is kind of where a lot of people get the whole idea about catching up on gossip, because that's kind of what would happen. You know, you'd come in, your once weekly hairstyling, and then you wouldn't wash, or you might, you know, fluff it back up a little bit, but you're not going to do a whole lot to your hair outside of. And the haircuts were made to do that. They were made to be long-term investments. So you would say maybe Tuesday was your day to go into the salon. So you would spend a good portion, you know, 2 to 3 hours, depending on what you were doing, going into the salon. And then from there, you would have your hair would be done all week. So, like, I would imagine somebody in the 40s and 50s where that was perfectly the norm, the idea of rolling out the door in a messy bun would have been god awful. Like, it just, and we still have, you know, some of the older gals that have probably been having their hair set since the 50s or 60s, and it's just what you did. You go in once a week, get your hair done. Way back in the day, it would last forever, given what was used.
Yeah, what was that setting spray that you were talking about?
There were a couple different ones, but basically, I'll go this way. Basically, they were just really sticky. I'm trying to think of a specific name, and it's not
Freeze and
coming.
Shine.
Well,
Aquanet.
It older.
Oh.
It was almost like it would almost be like gummy, like gum Arabic or something like that.
Oh.
Or, you know, partly based in that, so that your hair is going to stay. And then when you are all done and your hair is dry and set, then you would take and use a little bit, and I'm just going to pull it out here, a little bit of Brilliantine.
Oh boy.
And if I don't know if it'll zoom in close enough.
Yeah, it will.
All right. Look at those ingredients.
Oh my goodness. Don't smoke near it.
Yeah. This is literally Vaseline. It's Vaseline and baby powder smell.
Oh God, that's what they used?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if you wanted the less pomade-like and more oil, then you could just put mineral oil and fragrance.
I'm going to be completely honest. I've totally used Vaseline on my hair in the last year.
It's fine.
Not realizing that it was
Yeah,
off-brand hair product.
Well, see, the thing is that the one thing that I can say, which is really great, is that, one, it waterproofs your hair.
Oh boy, did it.
Two, it really does, if not laid in a heavy-handed manner, it does impart shine. All of my doll heads on the shelf all have it in their hair because it makes the hair shiny and supple, which is lovely. So first step, waterproof.
So, because it is oil-based, is there concern with using it with hot tools? Like putting it on your hair and then using hot tools?
It's gonna smoke.
I was gonna wonder about that. I mean, like, do you put Vaseline on your hair and then
it would definitely be, it's more of a, you could put it on before you, say, like while you were setting hair, like if you were really worried about these little, you know, friffy ends here, like you could use some as part of your set lotion and it'll stay. Yeah. But mostly it's used for after. So like somebody might use a pomade today where it's for your hair is already set, it's already curled, it's already ready to go. Then you just run a little through to help ensure that it stays shiny and smooth and you don't have
so it's a finishing product.
Basically.
It's not a setting product.
Not really a setting product. I mean, people have used it for setting, but mostly finishing. And then after that, once you have the shine and the hair is now combed into the style that you were going for, sometimes with back combing, sometimes without, pinned and everything, then comes the first hairspray. Then the first hairspray was watered down lacquer.
I wonder, like not glue or lacquer?
Like paint lacquer. Like,
okay.
you know, shellac your wood. You know, so your hair's not going anywhere.
No, ma'am.
For you know, 7 days, 6-7 days. Probably not going to lose your style. Then, you know, then when you come back, then you have, you know, incredibly strong shampoos to
therefore the clarifyings.
It's basically clarifying, but, you know, more like dish soap.
I'll get it. Hold on, I'll get it.
I got this thing. Okay. I got it. Don't worry. I've got it. And so you would end up, it makes perfect sense, like why you wouldn't want to, you know, shampooing at home wasn't a big thing until probably about the 60s or 70s. What are we on? Perfect. we'll get done with this, and then we can wrap it up.
That was actually great timing, Tiffany.
Yeah, we're doing great. I can't believe I got this all in one.
I'm looking
One go.
And then when, this will be fun for you to look back over. And I've got a few ideas about how I'll do this again.
Yeah, I'm planning on every 2 weeks doing something.
Oh, cool.
So
I'll make sure to tie my shoelaces a little better. As we can see, I've
nearly died 5 times. But yeah, I want to do more. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be a set as such. I could do more on combing out. I can do more on history of hair.
Or maybe people want to watch you do a haircut.
Do a haircut.
I know people love to watch people do haircuts.
My completely imprecise methods. But, anything that's, kind of, I do like to focus on a little bit more of the vintage and historic, but if there's, like, I could show
how to do a vintage haircut.
How to do a vintage haircut.
Yeah, that'd be really great.
How to do the tapering and the...
Especially with a lot of the older hairstyles kind of coming back around.
Some. It's not as... A lot of it's kind of modern interpretation. Okay. I have found that very few, even if they're older styles, the actual haircut isn't the way it was done before. The way it was done in the 40s, 50s. Razors were really, really popular for, I don't know, probably all the way back to the 20s. Because you would get just the right kind of finish on the ends. Just go ahead and split this in 2. So close to being done. Check this out. Then I'll show pictures later of what the finished style looked like for anybody that's actually interested. I'm sure there's interest, just not everybody's used to seeing me on a live stream yet. And I haven't even touched Instagram live stuff.
Oh, we should totally play with that.
I mean, I'm not gonna today, we'll just stick with this little guy, but at some point maybe throw in some Instagram.
Actually, I wonder if you could almost take your Instagram live and then repost it to Facebook.
I think you can.
But you can't really do the other way around because Insta is too short.
Yeah.
For your average.
Yeah. So, and here's our last curl. And there we have her. She is set somewhat in a few spots, but that's all right. Yeah. She is set in a manner following a set pattern that we have discovered in a vintage publication. And it's pretty amazing. And I'm hoping that this was informative for people. If it was something that they got anything out of, please let me know at some point.
Yeah.
And
if you have any requests.
Yeah, if there's a question that's been bothering you for a while that you're not sure how to make happen or how it was done in the past, do let me know and we'll make this part of the situation as I move on. Every couple weeks we'll have a new topic or revisit an old topic if that's the case, and we can go from there. So I hope everybody had a good time and this was something that you enjoyed. See you soon.
All right.